We're taking you inside Michigan football recruiting on today's episode. Before we do, I want to ask you to subscribe. You guys know the URL, youtube.com/Michigan TV. But I've never asked you this before. Got some of my colleagues saying, Yoder, your Noti game is weak as hell. So if you guys can, make sure you hit the notification, turn the notifications on. It's this little icon here. I'm going to hold up my phone on iPhone right there, right side of your screen where your thumb goes. Hit the notifications, turn on all. If your phone prompts you, do you want to turn notifications? Hit yes, turn all. So when we put out a video, you just get a little drop down on your phone, let you know there's a new Michigan Football Report video out on YouTube. We've got recruiting news and rumors coming up on the show right now. Welcome into the Michigan Football Report. I am your host, as always, James Yoder. And folks, Corona ending college football recruiting on campus is over, and we are going to jump in on the latest and greatest around Michigan's recruiting efforts this summer with a revamped staff and a revamped recruiting department. The recruiting dead period as of midnight on Monday, so basically 12:01 a.m. Tuesday, June 1st, recruiting dead period is over. It's been in place for about 15 months now, a couple days after all of the coronavirus scares in the NBA and NCAA football. The NCAA put a lockdown on recruits visiting campus. The dead period's over, though, and this June is going to be more recruiting news and info and visits on campus than we've ever seen. And not just Michigan. We're talking about every major college football program across the country. Championships will be won by how these staffs perform in the month of June. And I'll tell you what, this is a trial by fire for the new Michigan staffers. So you've got 6 new coaches out of the 10 assistants. You replaced 7 with Mo Lindquist moving on to Buffalo to be their head coach. But your entire recruiting department is revamped. You got a couple of promotions. You got Courtney Morgan leading it. You've got the new on-campus recruiting director. You've got Ashawn Larkin being the kind of scout. You got Jim McElwain's son. You've got a lot of changes, and these folks have not had a ton of time to ramp up. Obviously, the new coach is putting in game plans all spring. The new recruiting department, some of these folks have been hired just in the last month or so. So this will be trial by fire. I'll dive into more what I mean by that and whose job or whose future could be online from a staff perspective here in a minute. But we don't do a ton of recruiting videos around here because, I like to focus more on the team. I'm not interested in calling 16-year-old boys and finding out what they're doing this weekend. Nevertheless, with recruiting coming back on campus, I want to know if you guys want more recruiting coverage from us here at the Michigan Football Report, from myself. So if you do, like this video. If we get more than 50% more likes per 1,000 views than we normally get, that'll be an indication that you guys do want more recruiting coverage. And in the summer, obviously June and July, there won't be any football being played in the field, not really much practice or anything like that. So we'll ramp up our recruiting coverage if you guys want it. So if you do, go ahead and give this video a like. Detroit Day in Ann Arbor is going down right now, and from putting out some feelers there, it sounds like it's going pretty well. Michigan doing everything they can to make a major impact on the greater Detroit area recruits in the upcoming senior class, junior class, sophomore class, the 22, the 23, and the 2024 recruits around the city of Detroit, within probably about 45-mile radius of Detroit. This is something different for Michigan, and since none of these kids have been able to come on campus in nearly a year and a half, you've got players that are going into the senior year of high school this fall who haven't been able to visit Michigan since they were kind of halfway through their sophomore year of high school. So it's definitely the opportunity for Michigan's new recruiting department to make a big first impression, and here are those folks. You got Courtney Morgan. We've talked about him for the last couple of months. This girl, Christina, Tom, how do you pronounce her last name? DeRuyter. She is kind of DeRuyter on. She's, I don't want to say on the hook, but this is her time to shine. She is head of on-campus recruiting. So when 40, 50, 60 players from around the city of Detroit come on campus in one day, it is all her show. Her and Ashawn Larkins. He is more of the filling in for Matt Dudek, being more of the scout of this department. Jim McElwain's son, Jarrett, he has been promoted. He was on the staff for a couple of years. And then Tony Jones, director of high school relations. From what I've been told, he has been the one behind the scenes with Courtney Morgan, kind of putting this day together, making sure all the best recruits from around the city of Detroit are in attendance. So you see the new staff. You always know the coaching staff. Some of the changes have been made there. Give me on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being the lowest. If you want to give it a 0, that's fine too. I'll appreciate your opinion. 10 being the highest, your level of confidence in this staff. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to go with a 5 at this point until they prove otherwise. If they land a big-time commit or two out of Detroit Day or out of one of these big recruiting weekends coming up that we'll talk about here later in the show, I might upgrade that to a 7 or an 8. But until they put consistent top 5, top 6 recruiting classes, and you're hearing nothing but high praise from coaches and high school recruits about the experience, comparing it to Ohio State, being better than Ohio State, better than Alabama, Clemson, then you're going to get mediocre results. So that is what they're competing at. There are some big names on campus today, maybe none more surprising because it didn't seem like he was coming than Dante Moore, who we will go dive a level deeper in here in a second. Will Johnson's on campus. Michigan's highest rated recruit in this class. He is a 5-star defensive back from Detroit. His dad, obviously, Deion Johnson, played in the early 90s. Dante Moore, you've got a couple other players from around the city of Detroit there. 2022 star, 2022 4-star, 2023 4-star defensive end, and then a 2022 3-star defensive tackle. But Dante Moore is who I want to focus on here. If you remember, this is the player that Jim Harbaugh made plenty of headlines, but many of them were negative because it just wasn't as widely accepted 3 years ago that you offer a 7th grader a scholarship to be a quarterback in college. But that's what Jim Harbaugh did, nearly three years to the day. It was right before the end of Dante Moore's 7th grade season, offered him a scholarship, and he's been living up to the hype since then. He is a top 15 player in the 2023 class, entering his junior year of high school this fall. Number 3 overall quarterback recruit in the class. I think was a number 14 overall player. Arch Manning, obviously, we all know who Arch Manning is. Peyton and Eli's nephew is one of only 2 quarterbacks ranked ahead of him. He's a 5-star. And look, Michigan didn't really get a quarterback recruit in the 2020 class and are not recruiting very strong in the 2022 class. So if you get a 5-star McCarthy in 21, he'll compete for a job this year. And then you get Dante Moore in the 2023, you space out players a little bit better than I think Michigan did, stacking Brandon Peters and Brandon Peters and who am I thinking of? Dylan McCaffrey, Joe Milton, 3 straight 4-star quarterbacks back-to-back classes. All 3 of them transferred, right? So this is what the depth chart will look like at quarterback this fall. And frankly, all 3 of those players have eligibility in 2023. So this is probably all we'll see from Michigan unless somebody else transfers in. This is the potential players that could keep Dante Moore from not starting as a true freshman. I highly doubt he would start as a true freshman, especially if McNamara, Bowman, or McCarthy seize the job and have 2 or 3 years of eligibility as Michigan's quarterback ahead of them. So that is the story there on Detroit Day for Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan football program. Make sure you guys head over to chatsports.com/MichiganNB and download the Newsbreak app. And this isn't a request anymore. This is a demand because I got the big wigs at Newsbreak to hook it up. First 100 people who comment on this video, you get the Newsbreak app for free. So now some of you might say, James, it was always free. It doesn't matter. These big tech companies, they're always trying to pull one over you. I got the deal. It's chatsports.com/MichiganNB. I'm going to go in and reply to the first 100 comments with that link. If I don't get some of you guys downloading, because some of our other channels here at Chat Sports are just crushing us with driving users to our new partner, Newsbreak. You can find our content there. I'm be pretty upset, so don't be surprised if we reply back, asking you to download. It's a great app, right? You got local news and weather. If you're living in Detroit, if you're living in Grand Rapids, anywhere across the country, you've got news, politics, sports content, not just from us, from all your favorite blog boys and newspapers, no matter what team you follow, no matter what zip code you are in. So it's chatsports.com/MichiganNB. Type that into your phone's browser. It will just drop you into the App Store for iPhone or Android, and you can just press download there. We get credit for it. They'll continue to want to sponsor our shows. Michigan might be getting another transfer defensive lineman from the Pac-12. We got a 360-pound transfer from Oregon State, a 25-year-old last week. And now Jay Toia, I've heard it pronounced 3 different ways. It's Toia. Maybe they should have thought about that before playing big-time college football, having an easier name to pronounce. But nevertheless, 4-star in the 2021 class, will only be entering his true freshman year here in this upcoming season. Was a top 200 player, number 186 overall, entered USC in January as an early enrollee and played in spring ball and was reportedly doing pretty well. Now he's transferring out of USC, and I don't really know if there's a set reason why, but Michigan is definitely a player for him, and he's going to be visiting campus this upcoming weekend. Sean Nua is his primary recruiter, okay? And Nua's been on the hot seat, in my opinion, for the last couple of recruiting cycles for not landing the big-time defensive lineman that Michigan needs to compete at the highest level. Was right there, I'm just going to call him with Jay, when he committed to USC and ultimately enrolled in January. Michigan was probably the runner-up, maybe a number 3 for his services. And with him being the first visit after he announced last week that he's transferring out of USC after just playing his spring semester of what would have been his senior year of high school, I'm excited. Michigan needs more help on the defensive line. You already got one transfer coming in from Oregon State, and he'll be eligible to play this fall. With the new recruiting and transfer rules, he will be eligible to play this fall. Whether he makes an impact, we couldn't necessarily say just yet. But with that happening, with Sean Nua being on top of this one, and with Michigan getting the first visit, there are some real tea leaves out there that Michigan might be his only visit, and he might be committing to the Wolverines and potentially being on campus as a student as early as next week. If he comes to campus this week, he can enroll and be in summer class and be working out the team as early as next week. So keep an eye out for this one. He will be flying into Ann Arbor Friday afternoon. Jim Harbaugh has been on the move too, was down in Memphis yesterday visiting maybe the most impactful recruit that Michigan could land since Rashawn Gary in 2016. 5-star defensive tackle Walter Nolen. His mom's from Detroit. His grandparents still live in the Detroit area. Lives down in Memphis. Harbaugh went down there to be at a satellite camp for recruits with the University of Memphis staff yesterday and Tuesday. Also visited with current Michigan commit from the Nashville area, 4-star defensive back Cody Jones. Check out the picture and check out Walter Nolen here. This guy is an absolute beast. Jim Harbaugh was a 15-year NFL quarterback, and he kind of looks like a little kid next to 16, 17-year-old Walter Nolen, the number 2 overall player in the 2022 class. Alabama's the clear frontrunner here, okay? And if Michigan's able to pull this one off, it will be a phenomenal get for Jim Harbaugh, phenomenal get for this entire recruiting staff, and I think Michigan has a chance. Right? He's going to be on campus very soon. He's visiting this month. He has indicated, and his parents have actually talked to plenty of media outlets, that they're very interested in Michigan. Alabama provides the surefire 3 years, and you're a first-round NFL draft pick if you're rated that high. It's kind of a proven method if you're a top 20 or so 5-star recruit in any class. You go to Alabama, you end up in the NFL more times than not. Michigan doesn't have that same track record compared to NFL. So Walter Nolen would have to be playing on the fact that his parents, his mom is from there, his grandparents are maybe from there as well, and maybe wanted to strike out on his own and forge a new path, be the guy who turns this Michigan program around. So with Walter Nolen headed to Michigan this month for a visit, with him potentially being a coup of a get for Jim Harbaugh, it's Michigan, it's Alabama, we'll see what happens. And Harbaugh down in Memphis. I want to know which of these 2 recruits you would feel, more excited, more pumped up. Will you be high-fiving your buddies? If it's Walter Nolen, number 2 player in the 2022 class, type WN, the defensive tackle out of Memphis, or if it's Domani Jackson, currently committed to USC. Dad's a Michigan fan, longtime Michigan lean, but spurned the Wolverines after all the coaching turnover in the offseason. He's the number 3 player, at least the last time I checked, in the class. So you got 2 of the top 3 players in the class. Both had Michigan in their top 2, even after the disastrous 2-4 2020 season. If it's Domani Jackson, type G, DJ. I'm going with Walter Nolen. Michigan has certainly had their fair share of quality cornerbacks, defensive backs over the years, but recently there certainly have not been many high-quality NFL-level defensive tackles. Is USC a factor for 5-star Michigan commit Will Johnson, whose dad, Deion Johnson, is the creator of the Sound Mind, Sound Body football camp around the state of Michigan, one of the most popular and most well-talked about, well-known summer and spring camps for 7-on-7s and workouts and all that good stuff, played at Michigan in the early 90s. There is a lot of chatter out there that USC potentially could flip him, get him to partner in a package deal with Domani Jackson, the top 3 player, number 1 cornerback in the country, to go to USC. Dante Williams, USC assistant, will be in the state of Michigan tomorrow at Ferris State at a satellite camp where Johnson will be participating. probably to recruit him, probably to get his face in front of him. And I just want to say this. Will Johnson is a highly important recruit for Michigan, and they need to do whatever it takes to keep him. Now, that means rolling out the red carpet, doing a little under-the-table stuff. That's fine, okay? If you lose Will Johnson, after losing a guy like Xavier Worthy committing to Michigan over Alabama, then heading out to Texas afterwards, you're losing the most important recruit in your state in a number of years. A 5-star that committed to you right after a 2-4 season, was very vocal when he committed and has been vocal since then about trying to be the face of a top 5 or top 10 class, recruiting other players, and someone that is interested in taking a Michigan program that had all kinds of near greatness under Jim Harbaugh 4, 5, 6 years ago, but has really struggled the last season or potentially the last 2 seasons. He's interested in being the guy that turns that program around, getting over the hump against Ohio State. If he, just decides to decommit and flip to USC, that is a major blow. It shows no confidence in Jim Harbaugh as a coach, no confidence in the Michigan's new staff, new secondary coach, and certainly not the new recruiting department that Jim Harbaugh and Michigan has brought in. The 2021 depth chart, you got a lot of names you've heard of. You got 4 stars returning Brett Hawkins. You've got Daxton Hill, who some people are projecting will leave after this season, be a first or second round pick. Jemon Green, Vincent Gray, both of who really struggled last year. Some talk that Jalen Perry there as a backup quarterback might move over to safety. We'll see what happens this fall. You get DJ Turner, Darian Green Warren, a lot of names you've heard of, top 100, top 250 recruits, 4 stars, the 1 5-star in Dax Hill. But you need difference makers. You need 2 or 3 Dax Hills to be in your starting lineup if you're going to compete with Ohio State. Look at the receivers they got coming in. Look at the quarterbacks they got coming in. They've got back-to-back 4 stars and back-to-back 5 stars over 3 recruiting classes, 2 of them being in the same class. So I'm going to ask you guys this question. Will Michigan keep Will Johnson committed? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm going to say yes, they will keep him committed. He's headed out to USC later this month in about, almost 2 weeks from now. Headed out on the 15th. It's kind of a midweek visit. Is going to connect with his buddy, Domani Jackson. They were talking about being a package deal for a long time. But if he heads out there, if their assistant who's coming to Ferris State to coach and obviously talk to dad, talk to the high school coach, rub elbows, make sure the USC logo is seen, if they lose him, it will be absolutely disastrous for the confidence level of other recruits in this class. And I think there's the odds that Michigan ever turns around and beats Ohio State in the future. I'll type yes, but I want to know from you guys. Comment below Y or N. This is an important month, right? June is a massively important month for Jim Harbaugh in his career. He made calculated changes to revamp this program, revamp the staff after spending 9 months in quarantine from March through December when the season was supposed to end, but really kind of ended over Thanksgiving after the last 3 games were canceled. You've got players back on campus with an all-new recruiting department, 6 new assistant coaches, and you've got your number 1 recruit in 4 years or so, your top-rated commit in Will Johnson. He's taken a visit elsewhere. You got USC coaches coming in to see him. So a successful month maybe is a Walter Nolen commitment, although I don't expect that. But you might get a transfer from USC coming in, defensive lineman. You might get 2 or 3 high 3, low 4-star commits from around the city of Detroit. But I think if Michigan is going to turn around under Jim Harbaugh, he needs to lock down Will Johnson, make sure that this USC visit is just a free trip to California after being locked up in his parents' house for 15 months. And you need to get 2 or 3 top 150 guys at impact positions, secondary, certainly on the defensive line, to turn this program around. So if we're talking here in a month that Will Johnson's still thinking about USC and Michigan hasn't gotten any top 100, top 150 level commitments for this 2022 class, I will be pretty disappointed. I think it means that Michigan's changes under Harbaugh are not paying off early on in the process, and they'll still have a lot to prove as we go along this year and ideally into December's signing day. That is all for the show today. We will be back with more Michigan Football Report in the coming days. Until then, go Blue.